Donald Trump is finally conceding defeat. After more than 2 weeks, President-elect Joe Biden has formally been given the go-ahead to begin his transition to the presidency. US correspondent Jagruti Dave has the latest developments from the US, and she joins me now live. A very good morning to you. So what on earth made him realize that he'd finally lost?
Good morning. Well, it's a concession, but not a concession. In the last few moments, he has tweeted saying that we are moving full speed ahead. This is US President Donald Trump. We will never concede to fake ballots and Dominion, which is the electronic voting machines. He essentially has given the go-ahead for the General Services Administration, which is the federal department that oversees the transition process, to make that process happen. The head of that service, which is a Trump appointee, Emily Murphy, she wrote a letter to Joe Biden saying that the transition process was underway and that the funds and resources that should have been available to him days ago are now going to be made available to him. She said that she'd made the decision without fear or favoritism, and she'd acted independently. Interestingly, she calls Joe Biden the apparent president-elect rather than just the president-elect. A few minutes after that news broke, President Trump had tweeted to say that he is recommending that Emily and her team do what needs to be done with regards to initial protocols, but he promised to continue the legal fight. So he is still pursuing those legal challenges despite there really being a limited pathway, if any. Remember, a judge dismissed his latest lawsuit in Pennsylvania regarding mail-in ballots. He is appealing that, but Michigan, the Board of Canvassers there, has certified the election results. Pennsylvania is now moving. There's a pathway open for them to certify the election results in that state. So really it seems that this fight that President Trump is talking about is very much likely to be at an end, and now we're moving forward, finally, after days of waiting with that transition process.
And how much easier will this make life for Joe Biden? He's got a lot of work to do. He's going to be overturning a lot of things imposed by Donald Trump. But will he be able to get his way, considering, you know, we don't know yet, but how the Senate is likely to look?
Well, the thing it definitely does make Joe Biden's life that much easier, because he has access to resources to the tune of more than $6 million. He's able to give his appointees orientation in the job. He's able to have access to probably physical department buildings. He can move potentially from Delaware, where he's been doing the transition process without the official resources, potentially being able to move into Washington, D.C. and start that gradual transition process in physical spaces as well. In the last few moments, we've seen Joe Biden's website change from .com, Build Back Better, to buildbackbetter.gov, a real sort of marker of that transition process actually happening. We're going to see, as I say, funding being allocated. He's saying that Biden's team confirming the transition process being underway. That official letter from the General Services Administration said that they were able to, in the days ahead, begin meeting with federal officials to discuss the pandemic response. That has been the front and centre of the Biden-Harris transition team's movements. Have a full accounting of our national security interests. Remember, the first appointees that were announced were national security appointees, and gain complete understanding of the Trump administration's efforts to hollow out government agencies. So, as you say, part of the Biden-Harris movements of the transition team is to try to reverse some of those measures and some of the things that the Trump administration has been doing. So all of that is made that much easier with the official resources and funding that has now been offered to him.
And, of course, Donald Trump loses his Twitter handle at POTUS. That must have stung.
Yes, indeed, that will happen as well, as will Mike Pence. He will lose his VP Twitter handle. All of those, once inauguration happens, once that handover is made official, those Twitter handles automatically go to the next incumbents, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So lots of changes in the pipeline. No doubt President Donald Trump will continue tweeting in his capacity as a civilian through his own personal Twitter handle. handle. It's unlikely we'll see the last of him on social media, but the mechanisms of government, those things are underway. We're hearing from the Department of Defense, from the Pentagon, that the Biden team has reached out to them, and they are working now with the Biden team. You'll see more federal agencies, more government departments that had hitherto been blocked from interacting with the Biden team. They are now beginning to have those conversations, make those movements towards that transition, so that Joe Biden and his team can get a handle on the apparatus of government, that they can hit the ground running after January the 20th, after he becomes inaugurated.
And as you say, really important that they tackle the pandemic just spiking at horrendous levels on a daily basis. Thanks for that, Jagruti.